Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be taking the BMW E53 X5 3-litre diesel out for a test drive or POV drive, as many of you guys call it. Again, this has been a highly requested video and it's something I haven't done yet, and I do this in all the cars I get. So this is the X5 we're going to be going out in, and this is the X5 we're going to be using and doing a test drive video in. The GoPro is set up, we're going to get inside and I'm going to take you out on a test drive in this E53 X5.
What? Goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo! When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes, cause his memories. We running through New York, so you.
Okay guys, so here we are in the BMW E53 X5. Now, this is just a test drive review. I don't want to go over on the engine so much, but we will, purely because we want to go over how the chassis drives and how these cars perform in general, because otherwise it wouldn't be fair to other viewers who can't get the 3-litre diesel versions and only can get the 3-litre M54 and obviously the 4.8 IS versions, which is the N62, and obviously the 4.4 versions with the M62 engine. So it wouldn't be fair to sit here and talk about just this engine when people are going to click on this and think it's about the petrol versions. So we're going to go out, in a test drive video in this X5 4x4 Jeep 4Runner, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to go for a test drive in it and I'll show you how it all drives. So let's get onto it. Okay guys, so here we are driving the BMW E53 X5. Now, if any of you guys don't know, this car was basically designed off the E39 chassis, which was probably the most loved and cherished 5 Series ever made, and people still consider it as one of the best 5 Series still ever made. And a lot of people do consider the E53 as one of the best X5s still ever made, and a lot of people still use them. When these cars first got released, it was the Chris Bangles design car. Chris Bangles was the designer at the time, all the way up from E46, E39, E53, all the way to even the E70 he designed. And these cars were very well known and very well loved. I know many people that's owned them. I've owned quite a few myself. In all the variants, be it the 3-litre petrol with the M54 engine. I had the 4.8 IS version as well, but I always find myself coming back to the diesel versions, and that's purely because they're more reliable, solid, and you know, just useful for everyday use for what I need it for. I do a lot of mileage, so it's practical, and where diesel fuel gets more miles to the gallon than normal regular petrol, it's just better all-rounder for me. Now, also, I think the M47 engine is suited for these E53s, and many of you guys who don't know about that or can't get it wouldn't know what I'm actually saying. But these engines are very well suited for the E53, and it suits the E53. Now, before 2006, so we're talking 2000, 2004, these cars had the crappier gearbox, which was the GM gearbox fitted, which was a 5-speed automatic. Was something I would recommend to stay away from if you were looking at buying one. After that, they changed and got, from 2005, they fitted the ZF gearboxes to the diesels, which was the 6-speed automatic gearboxes. The 4.8 also had that, the 6-speed gearbox, which was very, very good gearbox on that one as well. These are 4-wheel drive. Well, we say 4-wheel drive, but they're 60-40 ratio, so you've got 60% of the power going to the rear and 40% going to the front wheels. Overall, they're very, very reliable. They handle very, very well. Powerful, big, luxurious, and you know, it's a car that's fitted with everything you could ever want inside it. Depending on the model and spec you get, bearing in mind this is a sport model because it wasn't called M Sport back then. They changed it over to M Sport in 06, which this is 06, but it didn't make it into the M Sport criteria. So on the registration document, it's classed as a Sport and not an M Sport. This one's got the sat nav, TV, the newer design steering wheel. Obviously it doesn't have the heated steering wheel, which many do come with. It comes with all the luxuries and goodies, you know, heated seats, everything you could want in a SUV. Now, a lot of people ain't aware of the issues that creep up on these, and it's all different engine by engine. But if you would have seen on my videos owning this, I overhauled all the engine, which is all the weak points, which is the glow plug module, the glow plugs, the oil. What else did we do? Replaced any vacuum lines that needed doing. We took off the manifold. We deleted the EGR, which is something that I think is crucial if you're going to buy a 3 litre diesel, to delete the EGR valve immediately. You use a vacuum line on these. It's not electronic like newer models. Therefore, you don't have to worry too much about it. When you blank it, that you're going to have to get it remapped, because it would just cause an error code in the system, but it went for an engine light. You just put a screw in it. I overhauled actually all the suspension arms on this as well. The reason I never recorded that was purely because, as I said to you, a lot of you guys, when I purchased this car, it wasn't going to be used as a channel car as such. This is more like my family cruiser. I use it to travel around the UK. My M5 is most of my channel car, so is the E60. If things do creep up on this, then yes, we will use it as a channel car, as I said to you. But the suspension arms was a massive, massive job. I also had to do the interference fit, ball joints, which are in the hub. Many guys who own this will know they're a pain to get out of, real pain. Took me a good 4 hours just to get both sides out and hit him with hammers and everything. But it's something that needs to be done on these to maintain the drivability of these big 4x4s on the road. They tell you to take a hammer in, bearing in mind if you're going to go off-road, you need to have that done. But you know, I've used this car now, what, 7 months, and it's been absolutely flawless. We had it in the big snow that we had here in the UK, very thick snow, especially for the UK's type of place. It performed faultlessly throughout the whole weather. I was using it throughout the snow and it didn't let me down once. It cut through every snow I wanted to get through, done everything I needed to do, got me everywhere I needed to be, didn't miss a beat once. The 3 litre diesel engine is known for its reliability. It's been used in many, many cars for many years. If many of you guys don't know, the M47 unit's been used for around 14 to 15 years by BMW. It's a very, very, very sturdy and reliable engine. It was fitted in a lot of cars, from the E60, the E53, the E39, the E46. It's in many, many chassis. Now, the other one that comes like this is the M47 Engine, which is the 2 litre diesel, which you'll find in the 320 diesels below 2005, which is all fitted, and that's very reliable, providing you just take out the swell flaps, because they've got a problem with ingesting the swell flaps like the M57s. Now, if you would have seen on my video when I'd done the swell flaps on this didn't have swell flaps because BMW removed them from 05 and up, and that's why a lot of people are getting rid of these now if they live in the city in London, because these don't meet the new emission laws, the ULEZ, so you have to pay to drive these. Where I am, I don't have to pay that, so I could drive this wherever for however long I want, and there is no laws where I am regarding that, or no charge I've got to pay. So anyone who's sending them in London, I'm going to be able to buy these very cheap. Not that I want to get any more diesels, you know. So it is going to hurt a lot of people, especially if they love their E53, because these were removed from this. All the swell flaps and everything like that is all for emission related purposes, and they want these off because they don't comply with it, because obviously you can blank the EGR very easily. There is no swell flaps on them, there is no DPF, and therefore they don't comply with the ULEZ, therefore people can't drive them. Overall, this car is very, very powerful and very quick. When you push your foot down, it will come up to speed very quickly. Obviously it's turbocharged. I believe it's producing 240 bhp. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure, and I believe it might be 330 torque on these, but that's just off the top of my head. I'm not 100% sure. These are very, very powerful 4x4s, and a lot of people do use them for farming. A lot of people use them for trailing or towing. This is not something this one's ever been used for. It was owned by a doctor. You guys probably remember when I bought it. I had to tell you that it was owned by a doctor. Hence we've got the DVD player up here as well, for that reason. He had it for his kids. So I did get very lucky buying this. It's low mileage. I bought it on 88,000. The mileage on it now is 94,475. So you can see the amount of mileage I've done in this since I've had it, and that's because I've been using it to travel around the UK, and I travel very, very far because I've got family everywhere. So that's what I bought it for, specifically to carry my dogs and my family in. Like I say, if you are in the market to buy an E53, I think they still make great cars, and they're very, very good 4x4s. Parts are very, very cheap and readily available for these cars. Bearing in mind it's an E53, they do suffer with certain rust issues. You would have seen on another one of my videos, the number plate lights, which I did speak about in my common problems video on these cars, and then it happened to me. As I said, the salt from the roads ended up getting into it and corroding all the connectors inside the number plate lights, which here is an MOT failure if you don't get that sorted. I got very lucky and found the same color for this car, which most people don't, and have to buy it in black and then have it sprayed. There is normal wear and tear items on this, i.e. black brake lines like to rot out, especially if you're in the UK. Door handles like to break, but they're all cheap enough. I mean, I've even got spare door handles for this in my garage in case these were to go. I've got them ready. New cable straps and everything for it. I've got all parts for this and all other cars. So anything I need, I've got already. Overall, the drivability of these, they drive and handle so well on the road for a 4x4. And if you're in the market for a 4x4 and the best 4x4 you can buy during this year of car, I believe the X5 beats them all, purely because the ML wasn't great at that time in 06 for Mercedes. If you're looking to purchase a Mercedes or an Audi, the Audi Q7 had a lot of issues, electronics shutting down and blowing the electronics to pieces. Mercedes isn't that great on the MLs, as I said. So therefore it leaves you one option, and that's the X5. These are solid, reliable, and providing you're going to get 2005 upwards, which they stopped in 2006, you're going to have a solid gearbox. You probably get it with low mileage as well. Solid engine, providing you do all the maintenance to it, which this is now done for a good 100k. I will be changing the glow plugs again in another 10,000 miles, just so they don't seize in there and I can get them out and enjoy the peace of mind knowing I'm changing the glow plugs. As long as you're willing to put the effort in on them, they can become great 4x4s. A lot of it is suspension related because they are 4x4 and they're off-roaders. But apart from that, they do make good power. And what I'll do in a minute is I'll put my foot down for you. You'll probably hear the engine. I'm not too sure if you will. Let's try open the window here. If you just hear here, see here, you'll see when I put my foot down, it does come up to speed quite quickly. And for a 4x4, it is very, very powerful. And that's what I mean for your everyday needs to pot around, motorway, whatever it is you need to do, it's quick enough and it delivers on what it needs to do. You know, for a family car, very, very practical, big enough boot, you know, in more than enough space between each other. You're not splitting so cramped next to each other. You've got the armrest here, retractable armrest, the gold course, which opens up as well, as you see there. So it's got everything you want in a 4x4. Obviously you can get them with panoramic roof, something I didn't want, but you can buy them in many, many different specs. I know in the US a lot of you get the SE spec unless you get the 4.8 IS, but the M Sport models and the Sport models are very common here. Even on the 3-litre M54 ones, you can buy them all in Sport. I believe that's because a lot of people just wouldn't buy them standard. They either have to be Sport or, you know, people are very picky here, very fussy, same as me. if you've noticed me from my channel, you probably noticed everything I've got is sport and M Sport. Even the E46 I had, I won't touch anything that ain't M Sport. Apart from that, they are really good cars, and like I say, they do put the power down well. This is low mileage, and like I said, the mileage is increasing on it all the time. I mean, I've already done, you know, 7,000 miles, and I've only had this car since October, so you can see how much mileage I'm going to do by the time the MOT is due in October this year. It probably would have done about 12,000 miles, which people consider that the average on a diesel. But that's based on what we do as YouTubers. This is why you see a lot of YouTubers with a 4x4 and a diesel, because of the amount of mileage you have to put in traveling. And I do a lot of traveling, either it's going to repair people's cars, going to family, potting around everywhere. This is the car I use to go everywhere. The M5 isn't a car I'm going to use to travel and go here, there and everywhere and pot around to the local supermarket. And the other E60's basically in retirement now. My M52 one, as many of you guys know, my wife uses that, and she used that to take the kids to school, and that one isn't a long distance car anymore. That was just for local journeys, and not because I don't trust it, it's just because, you know, that car's done its bit for the last 3 years. I've been doing YouTube, and now it's time to get the X5 to do its job, which this one will. Over 100k this one will go, and this one will be for sale as well, and get another one with lower mileage, because I need to have something low mileage and reliable, overhaul it to keep going for me for what I need it for. But overall, guys, this is a solid car, and if you are in the market to buy one, as I said, go and buy one. You won't regret it. If you do live out of London, this could probably become the best car you'll ever own, because it's going to be cheap, it's affordable, and they're going to come down even cheaper based on the ULEZ. People in London need to get rid of them. One of my family members have got one of these as well. They've got to sell it because they live in London and they no longer can use it. So therefore they're going to be selling it. It's a 3 litre diesel, same mileage as this, black, 2005 one. And you know, I'm thinking of buying it. I'm not too sure yet. I don't know if I'm really going to benefit from it so much, because I don't want to have 2 of these. But in all aspects, they are great cars, and like I say, bearing in mind their low mileage as well, you've got nothing to worry about. There's not much that will go wrong on a low mileage. Like I said, on this you saw I overhauled all the engine, did a lot of stuff on it, and that's purely because I wanted it to be reliable for thousands and thousands of miles, because I knew I was going to use it for thousands and thousands of miles, the mileage I'm going to put in. You know, the one thing about the M57 is you can't beat that straight 6 diesel engine sound. It's got a brilliant sound to it when it goes, and that's one thing that always pulls me back to the M57 engine, is that diesel sound. That M57 straight 6 sound that you get when you put your foot down, it's just unbelievable. Now, this hasn't been remapped, and I know a lot of people are going to come on here saying they've got theirs remapped. I truly don't believe in remapping these at all. They're powerful enough for me. As I've said many times, the majority of people that remap these are people that can't afford an M car and are trying to turn this family wagon, as I call it, or just their normal average diesel car, which is built for potting around, into an M car. And it's never going to be an M car. If you can't afford an M car, don't try and turn something that's not into it. It just doesn't make sense. You know, I've got my M cars and I'm in the market to buy another one now. I don't need to turn this into anything. If I need power, I've got them. I've also a motorbike rider, so I've got my R1 as well. So if I need power, I've got more than enough power. Like I say, you just have to be careful on. Obviously, the diffs on these are a known weak point. Bushes, these will go through bushes, carrier bushes, you name it, these will go through them. It's a 4x4, expect it, but they're not that unreliable, and it's not to say you're going to go and buy one, it's going to be gone. A lot of the time, the suspension is very, very strong on this. That just goes to show you that BMW's parts are very, very solid. Even though we've got a lot of potholes here in the UK, these 4x4s are still solid cars. And as I said, these cars do make good power, and they're good all-rounders for everyday, day-to-day use. And like I said, I use it every day with no issues whatsoever, and I go everywhere in it. And I would trust this to take me all the way to America if I really wanted to, or to Australia, because this diesel engine's so solid. I know it'd get me there. I know I can come out, this is the one car I can start up and not have to worry about engine light or this or that, because how solid it is. I can just come out, drive it, I change the oil every 4,000 miles on this, which I know is very, very early for a diesel. Many of you guys are going to be saying, why am I changing my oil so early? I look after my cars, and you got to remember, as a YouTuber, it's what I do, and I'm very passionate about these cars. Therefore, I look after them more insanely than your normal average person. And I always show the mileage, so you guys can see I'm changing it every 4,000 miles. And it's what keeps these engines running perfectly and healthy, by changing them. Anything it needs, I change. It's cheap enough to afford, and everything's cheap on it, and it's a very, very reliable car. If many of you are in debate about going over to the E70, well, the E70s, the only difference with them is the electronic side of things. And obviously you get a much nicer, newer interior, but the engine and gearbox is exactly the same. The only thing that makes them different is that it's got a DPF, it's got an engine management related EGR valve, and it's got the swell flaps, and it's all for emissions. This, on the other hand, has the same gearbox you would find in the E70, same as that gearbox, ZF 6 HP, and also the same M47 engine, just with all the electronics controlled, which makes it more prone to failure and more prone to having issues. Obviously, if you're going to look after it, you won't get issues, but in the same sense, I prefer the E53. Solid, reliable, and I know I don't have to worry about nothing while driving it everywhere I go. Like I say, it is only my car, nobody else drives this apart from me, but I probably will give it to my wife at some point and buy myself another one, and we'll end up having the two E60s and two X5s, because I will be going for probably the E70 7-seater. She can have this one. But overall, guys, it is a good car. I'm not going to carry on talking about the car as such. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you are in the market for an E53, go and buy one. There is no negotiating whether you should or shouldn't. That all depends on where you live. Like I said, if you are in the ULEZ, or you fall around the M25 area where it's going to be, you can't have a diesel anymore, then you won't be able to own it, or you can own it, but you're going to have to pay high rates, as you guys know, to own one of these. But overall, the E53 X5 is still a great car, even by today's standards, and I don't regret owning one, and I love it still, as I love all my other BMs. It's a great, solid car to drive around, great to drive around. Like I say, it does suffer with its normal issues, but nothing that can't be fixed. So thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.